Hey everybody, how's it going? Glad to be here. Ryan's gonna be on in just a minute. We're running a tiny bit behind. Had a little bit of like a technical difficulty earlier, so we're running just a tiny bit behind. Apologize. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. We had looks like a little bit of a technical difficulty getting Ryan in at the moment, which is probably on me. Let me double check with him. What a day. What a day. That's all right, though. Did some other recording this morning, so the my setup was changed a little bit. Hey, Joseph. How you doing, buddy? It's good to see you, too, my man. Good to see you, too. Here, turn interview off for a minute, and I'll turn it back on. We'll see if we can get Ryan in. Sometimes the technology gods are not always good to you, but that's okay. That is okay. You know, we make do. Joseph, super stoked to be here with your lunch on your lunch break too. We're going to talk about the Mandalorian season 3 finale, which was just so much, so much. I hope you watched it because there will clearly be spoilers. Clearly be spoilers. Yes. Why am I not seeing your chat messages completely, though? My man? Where is it? Not interview chat. Where is it? Comments and reactions. There we are. There we are. Okay. Sorry, Joseph. I wanted to bring your stuff onto the screen there. Good, yeah. Hopefully everyone who's going to be watching has seen The Mandalorian season 3 or the finale, because I don't want to ruin it for anybody. I really don't. Looks like we're having some issues with my software today. I don't Ryan's I don't know why it's struggling for him. Joseph, since you're on right now, I think you're the one person who's watching, which is cool. Is there any issue with the quality of my stream coming through to you? Okay. Looks good to you. Okay, and it's obviously we're live, so I don't know what's happening. Trying to figure out why Ryan is not able to connect in. Sorry, folks. I apologize. There it is. There it is. Nope, he just dropped. It's always something, isn't it? Yeah, reboot. That's right. I think the software's good. So I'm gonna dive in for a couple minutes while Ryan is trying to get connected. And I'll ask Joseph, since you're on right now, and anybody else who might be watching, what your favorite part of the Mandalorian season 3 finale was, or really how it made you feel. And I'll talk a bit about mine while you're thinking about that. Let's try this again. Here comes Ryan. There he is. There he is.
Hey, did you hear me before?
Nope.
I was a black screen that
You,
apparently no one could see.
you were a black screen. I don't know what happened. I don't know what's going on, but that's all right. You're here.
Yeah.
You are
Good
here.
times.
Yeah, we have all kinds of cool stuff. Man, how's it going? How is it going?
It is going well. It is going well.
Awesome.
I'm really glad to be here. Really glad to be talking about season 3 of The Mandalorian. I think that I've got some feelings about it. I'm also, if anybody wants to talk about season 3 of the Picard show, which ended last night and met with universal acclaim, I would almost say that Jeff, the things that are happening in life right now, and I don't know if everyone can see me on the feed here, but
Yeah, you're
I
good.
will say this. Oh,
You're good.
awesome. The things that are happening in life right now is it's a series of opposites. Originally, a few years ago, I would have said, Marvel really understands how to work with its comic book characters, and DC doesn't understand what a superhero is. And that's not because I'm some type of crazy Marvel DC person. Like, I like both. In fact, I grew up reading a lot of DC comics, and DC Comics is where I really got into comic books, and then I found it again when I got into X-Men, which is Marvel. And the reason why I bring this up is that that's been flip-flopped for me. Like, now I'm beginning to think, wait, DC, I can see what you're starting to do now. I love Doom Patrol. I love Doom Patrol. It's like one of my favorite shows. If you have HBO Max and you're not watching Doom Patrol, get on it. But I have the same feeling now, and I hate to say this. I have the same feeling now with Star Wars and Star Trek. I have hated a lot of new Star Trek stuff. I am like, who are you? Where is this going? What is this? And that's not like I've been up and down with Discovery, but since Strange New Worlds and this latest season of Picard, I am like, wow, what a great thing to do with your characters. What a great way to balance story and plot and character development and potential new series. All of that.
Yeah,
Great
absolutely.
balance there. And I feel like somewhere, and this is no dig because there was a lot that I loved in this season of Mandalorian, but I feel that somewhere, Rich Evans called it the concernment on Red Letter Media. I have, but he was talking about Picard. I have concernment for where certain things are going. And Jeff, I hate to say that because I wanted to come in here and only say, wow, this is great. And it was great. It was very, very good. And there were some things that I absolutely loved about it. I'm so glad that they did them. But I have concernment.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm eager to hear your thoughts. This is me coming fresh off. I even did a binge of all of the Mandalorian season again before this show.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I've been watching it all. Oh, all this week I've been trying to get 2 episodes in, every single evening. So I've been sitting down and like really, really, really going for it to really like make sure that I'm coming with a cultivated opinion.
I have not done that. I will tell you. I have. I. When it comes to rewatching stuff, I have to. There's some things I can rewatch. I have a hard time just sitting down and rewatching entire shows unless specific things happen that like really connected, like really made me like, okay, no, I need to see that again. There's a certain episodes of stuff I can rewatch. I just don't have the attention to be able to. But in any case, I have many thoughts and feelings about the episode. So real quick, I didn't fix your camera. Sorry. There we go. Okay, there we go. Everyone knows. Now everyone knows there's spoilers. Couple things. Before I touch on the finale itself, the episode, I don't even want to say this out loud, but the episode with Lizzo and Jack Black, I love everything. I love to see what Bryce Dallas Howard does, and I very much enjoyed that episode. Touched on, like, I don't want to say humanity, but it touched on. It was more of like a heartwarming. It was almost like the hallmark moment for me of like the Mandalorian season 3. So I enjoyed it for that. I did think it was a little too heavy on the camp. I will say that, and I'm like, I let it go. I wanted to let it go just because I'm like, okay, whatever, it's fine, because it got the story where it needed to go, and some stuff happened of the two of them together, and I'm totally good with that. But it was just a little heavy on the camp for me. So bringing that into the season finale.
Yes,
I really enjoyed the season finale. I really did.
Yeah, loved it. Loved the season finale. It was really good.
Absolutely did. And there was multiple parts about the season finale that I really attached to. And one of the key ones is that all of the rumors, which was almost everybody that I know on Star Wars TikTok and other places, all of the headcanon and the rumors and all that was that, all right, is it the armor? Is it Bo-Katan? Is it Axe Woves? Who's the spy?
Who's the traitor?
Who's the spy? Who's the traitor?
Exactly.
Yeah, all of it. Yeah. All of it.
Yeah.
And this is no shade at any of my friends any of my mutuals and friends on TikTok at all. I'm not upset with them, and I won't name any names because I won't give any hard times at all. But almost every single one of them also right afterwards posted videos saying, I think I need to apologize to some fictional characters because literally nobody was a traitor in this one. And I'm like, couple of things about that. One, I never personally, I didn't make a video about it, but I never expected or suspected that any of the characters were going to be traitors. I never did, because it would have felt too, going into a season finale, that traitor would have needed to be built up in a very, very different way to just have, unless they were going to leave it with a complete cliffhanger in that episode. If that was the intent to roll it into something else, then you can do that. But otherwise, it would have been an unearned, traitorous event. I don't even, that's how you say that. But it just would not have worked. I don't think it would have worked. And so I'm really glad that they didn't go down that path. I am glad that there was a final confrontation with Moff Gideon. I'm really glad that happened. I'm not terribly happy with how he went out. Like, what I mean by that is it could have been, to me at least, there could have been a slight tweak. I guess before I get into tactics, I should say that I love the episode, and with my only critiques about the episode, really are tactical in nature. They are not, or semantic in nature. They're not really critiques of the episode. I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed that the Mandalorians not just came together, but at the end of the episode, when the Mandalorians are home and they're all together as a people, all the discord is kind of like, they've kind of put it aside to, it very much reminded me of the episode of Star Wars Rebels where Bo-Katan has the darksaber from Sabine and stands on the ramp of the ship and kind of holds it up, and all the Mandalorians are there and kind of bow to her. And I don't mean bowing to her, but like bowing to rather than rallying around, what I really enjoyed about this is rather than rallying around the darksaber, that is now, it's just an artifact that is gone. They rally around something of cultural significance, the Forge. And to me, the Forge, they built up really well as iconography for the Mandalorian core culture, like the core of their society, not this artifact of an old Jedi, whatever else, like not that, like this. And it's not the Forge, it's this core of their civilization that they all can rally behind, and the emotions it made them all feel about their armor and their place in society. I really enjoyed that. I really did. But there's several tactical things, but one of them really, I wish that Moff Gideon wasn't consumed in fire. I really wish that the ship that was crashing, that with Axe crashed in, I really wish that had taken him out, because it would have felt more like it could be real. Because him getting consumed in fire, I'm like, it's either Beskar or it's Cortosis, but either way, like, a ball of fire is not gonna just kill the dude, and then he's just not there anymore. And I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go with you on this one. I'm just gonna go with it because I don't know.
Yeah, I guess I'm right there with you. Like, it's funny. I actually really enjoyed the last episode, and so just for everybody who's watching, especially everybody on Team Replay, um, uh, one of the things Jeff and I have not been able to talk for there's been all these conflicts. I was traveling, all this stuff came up, and so for 4 weeks we haven't been able to talk, which is why I was like, oh, I'm going to enmesh myself in season 3 of The Mandalorian. Like, when we meet, the circle will be complete, and Jeff and I are gonna like talk. And so I am coming in hot on the fact that I mean, this was a really big deal. I feel like the last episode is one of my favorites of this season because, as you said, Jeff, I have really no big critiques of it. Visually, I also thought there was a number of things that were stunning, things that I had only seen done in animation or in comic books. It was amazing to see it executed. The fighting in wireless flying was great. I mean, all of that was just perfect. The design of things was great. The way things looked, the set design, so much of that was great. It's some of my favorite. The problem that I had was not with this last episode. So I know that we haven't talked since this last episode came out, but we haven't talked for a while. I don't even want to say it's my problem. That my overarching issue is the season. And I think it's because of two things. And one, I want to talk about a thing the first is what you just brought up, which was all of these TikToks and videos on who's the spy, who's the secret traitor. Is it the armorer? Because the armorer's got horns on her helmet. And, that actually is like a really great tie back. And look at the horns on Moff Gideon's helmet. And obviously this is a tie back to these episodes of the Clone Wars and also Darth Maul. And it's like, yes. Because I put this squarely on the shoulders of J.J. Abrams. Because J.J. Abrams taught Star Wars fans to look for mystery boxes, we are consumed now trying to solve them. We are always looking for these mystery boxes. And that is like, it gets in the way of the enjoyment of episodes.
Mm-hmm. It does.
I'll say that the Picard series, season 1, it was filled with these mystery boxes. Who's Daj? Who's Soji? Where are they from? Where is this going? Open up this box. Oh, it's another mystery box. What I don't enjoy that. You know what I enjoy? Character-driven stories that are then tied to a very engaging plot. Yes, you can have a mystery that's in it. In fact, I would say this most recent season of Picard did have a mystery about Jack Crusher. Spoilers for Picard. But season 3 of The Mandalorian felt like too many things were like, we're trying to solve this stuff rather than just enjoy the story. And that's what I saw from the community. And that's exactly why we're still hooked off of who's Rey's secret parents. And what clones? What's the cloning strategy? It's like we're too wrapped up in these mystery boxes rather than just the story. So that's issue number 1 that I had. Issue number 2 that I had is around expectations, Jeff. And that is, I enjoy The Mandalorian. I enjoy the evolution of that character, Din Djarin. I enjoy the Grogu storyline. I do like Bo-Katan, but I think that the issue that I had with this season was it peanut buttered too much story around too many characters at a time where it should have been getting tighter and tighter.
Yes.
It got wider and wider. And
Agreed.
I understand why, because they want to set up other stories but it was at the expense of why I enjoyed The Mandalorian in the first place.
Yeah,
And what's
I can see
funny
that.
is that that's where, like, Star Wars had a huge drop off after Rise of Skywalker. We all had issues with it. They had an issue with Solo. They were really struggling, and Mandalorian really like pulled them out of the gutter, popped a tic tac in their mouth, and said, "Here you go, you got Star Wars again." And it was like, wow, this is great. I love it. And then it's almost like we're repeating the mistakes of a few years ago, which is, oh, but we're setting up all this other stuff, but it's at the expense of these characters. And that's why I liked the season finale so much, because we got to go back to the characters that I care about and I
Mhm.
really like. And it's okay if you're going to do a Mandalorians show. Maybe that's not for me. That's fine. But that was my problem with an expectation, is that the show's premise changed so far from where I was. And so I got lost in this other stuff. I'm excited about the Ahsoka show. I'm excited about all this other stuff. But can't we just stay with these other characters? Like, it's funny, I kept hearing people talk about, well, it's the Mandoverse now. It's the Mandoverse. It's this bigger world. And it's like, yeah, but if they would have taken a break in Return of the Jedi from Luke Skywalker and went and like hung out with some people on Camino, I don't think I would know. Why are we over here now? Why are we here? But there's going to be a really cool Camino series coming up. That's where I struggled, Jeff. And that's why the end episode was so great. This should have been a 4-episode Mandalorian that got to the Mandalorians show that they want to do. Like give me one, end it, and then go to the next. But yeah, at this point, I'm kind of like, finish it off. It's done.
Mhm.
So yeah. Anyway, I'm eager to hear your thoughts. I know that that's not a popular opinion that I have, but I just
Interesting.
am saying that's how I feel.
It's interesting you say that. I hadn't actually thought about it the way you're describing it, or I guess I did, but I don't think I codified because I spent so much time thinking about, um, probably too much time thinking about, just not obviously just the positive side, but the outcome that I wanted to have. One of the ways I sort of rationalized like the title of the show to what was changing in the show from being about Den to sort of being about Mandalorians in general, or the idea of a Mandalorian, um, is exactly that. Like the show is called The Mandalorian, but Grief Karga and only a couple other characters call Din Mando. Um,
Mando.
because he's never even offered them his name. They say it and he just doesn't correct them. And we finally, hear him saying this season, or someone saying this season, that one doesn't speak unless one knows. And it's like, well, he just doesn't say it because he has no reason to. Like, it doesn't matter. They don't need to know his name to do the thing. They're like, oh, you're Mando. You're just Mando. They don't know any other Mandalorian. And I actually liked that. I actually liked that they kind of evolved the show to be more about the idea of a Mandalorian rather than about a specific character. And I'm cool with that. I'm actually kind of okay with that because it's almost a redemption arc for the Mandalorians overall. I'm with you though that this season specifically, it just jumped around a little too much. It was hard to keep up with. Like, I was attached now to the covert that Din is part of, and I was good with that. Like, I'm good with that covert, and I'm
Yeah.
good with bringing Bo-Katan back and the way that Din got back to her and all that. But the way that they kind of brought the two groups together, and I don't know, it felt like they were really rushing through a lot of these culturally significant moments, between characters or between these people that had to be rationalized. And if you've never watched anything else, any other Star Wars before, Rebels or Clone Wars, this probably is fine for you. Probably makes sense, and it doesn't need any other explanation. However, if you have watched any other stuff, to me it felt like, look, we've been told by forever that the Mandalorians are warring with each other, clans are always fighting, blah blah blah, and they didn't really rationalize that very well, or work through that story, that history very well in this, at least in the finale, or really in this entire season. It's not that it's not entertaining to watch, but they missed out on that a little bit, and I'm it's something about that missing opportunity makes a lot of the elements of the season, when I really think about it, kind of disconnect from each other. They just don't feel as cohesive as they could. To your point, it's probably because they tried to go too wide with all of this, and so instead of having Bo-Katan like on her own somehow, or a couple of them together, like her and the armor together somehow, give some speech or do something else that brings people together, say, let's do this, let's put aside our differences and go do this together. They didn't even talk about that. It was just almost like, cool, you fought Axe once. All right, everyone's cool. All right, we're good.
Yeah,
We're gonna move on. It's like,
I
I don't know. It felt too easy.
Yeah, I to be honest, one of the things, and by the way, like Joseph is in our chat. He's one of our viewers here. He's making some really good points, and I actually agree that yes, this is exactly the way that Dave Filoni tells stories. Like I agree, he is an ensemble, multi-story threaded arcs. What I think honestly is happening is it's a collision of different ideas that they're trying to tie off in different ways. And it's like watching a surgery over the course of a season. That's what I felt like season 3 was. Because I think there's the original vision of what this is from John Favreau, which is the Yojimbo. Like that is what that vision of that character was. It's fine. That character's got to evolve. But you know what? The story could have ended, and the mantle of the Mandalorian title could have easily been passed to Bo-Katan. Maybe even at the start of this season. I honestly would have been fine with that. But see, I think what was happening is that this doesn't fit in that same Filoni ensemble storytelling where you have all of these different story threads. Is that I think that they were all unique threads that were all kind of being condensed and forced together, almost at times like unnaturally, because they needed to get to the next thing. I've never felt like something was more of a middle story than this season. That at the end of the second season of The Mandalorian, at the end of the first season of Mandalorian, I was like, this is solid, this is great.
Yeah.
I'm eager to see the second season. The second season ended, and if nothing would have happened more, I would have been fine with it. Let a story end. To revisit these characters is to say, and I know that they started revisiting them as early as the Boba Fett story, which Boba Fett to me has the exact same issues that this one does, but at even now a larger scale. Is that and I don't have, because I've had people already talk to me about this. Oh, you're caught up in the title to the story, like ignore that. And it's like, no, it's more than that. It's telling stories with intention. What is the intention of bringing the Mandalorian back? You brought him back to some weird status quo where it's like it's him and Grogu again, which is like, oh, it's Din Grogu, that's great. But it's like, what's next? What's like these characters needed to lose more or learn more. It's one of those two things. And instead it's more like, great, now we've got all the Mandalorians back on this planet. It's wonderful. But like, what's this intention of doing that in your 3 stories? You've got your Mandalorians, Din Djarin story with Grogu. That's one story. What's the intention of that? You've got this middle story of Bo-Katan. What's the intention of that? Where do you want that to go? And then you've got this third one that is an Ahsoka primer. And I know where that one's going. That's going to the Ahsoka show.
Yes.
But I don't know what these other 2 stories were for. And that's what I mean by it was like watching a surgery. It was like a collision of too many ideas, maybe some of them not linking up. And yeah, like, by the way, if you loved this season and it was great, like, this is no shade on you. Good. It was great. There were really great moments. I'm just saying, as someone that really dug into this and it really enjoys this, I feel like they got lost a little bit among all of these storylines and then kind of forced them together.
Yeah.
But I think there was a lack of intention.
Yeah, I completely agree. And one of the aspects of the finale that really called that out to me was Moff Gideon's cloning, the cloning thing that Moff Gideon was doing. It bothered me for a bunch of reasons. One of them was because it didn't seem very connected to the whole, in the Bad Batch, the Mount Tantus arc happening of cloning and all that type of stuff. I mean, technically, yes, cloning, but they had already set him up with the whole Dark Trooper thing. And yes, the Dark Troopers were destroyed. At least the ones we knew about were destroyed in the previous season. Okay, cool, no problem. What I didn't care for about this is that when Moff Gideon comes back and magically is now back to us in the Mandalorian, okay, fine, he breaks out of jail and all these things. Okay, I can get through most of that. But what I really struggled with is that he didn't look like he was scathed in any way. At the end of the last season, he's freaked out. Like,
Yeah.
Luke shows up. He is scared. He tries to kill himself. I mean, he tries to kill himself. He literally tries to shoot himself, and they have to knock him out to prevent that from happening. Like, the character was frightened of, not just of Luke, but clearly of something that meant to him. But then when we see him in this, he's just back. He's been escaped from jail. They set it up. Oh my God, he escaped. It's a big deal. Okay, yeah, we figured he escaped. And then that's it. There's no, they have a mystery of, there's Beskar armor, whatever it is, and inside the shuttle, like a fragment or something. And I'm like, okay, what are you setting up? The Dark Troopers, they're back. Nope. He's secretly cloning and making Mandalorians, and he's making Beskar. I'm like, I get it, but, and I'm not really throwing shade at the idea of what they did, but the execution felt so completely disconnected from where they set his character up in season 2. It's like, oh, just kidding. If I didn't have the Dark Troopers on this one ship I already had this whole other operation on Mandalore you didn't know about that did all these other things. Like, I kind of wish they would have just picked one or the other. Like, said that what was going on that was a skeleton crew of things they were developing for the Dark Troopers, and he's got a handful of them that were like super Dark Troopers, and there's only a couple of them. You got to deal with that, and he gets into a mech suit that is like not tested, not tried and true, and it becomes a whole thing, and he's like trying to hold on, and he's desperate. But that's not what it felt like. It felt like that had been his thing the entire time, but we had no idea. What we saw in the last season was, but then of course he was scared at the end of the last season, so it to me, in this, from a storytelling perspective, it diminished any emotional attachment, or rather basically being scared by him in this season. I see him like, oh, you're just there and you're going to be a bad guy and everyone's going to have to fight these and they're going to be really hard, and then you're going to end up, something's going to end up happening to you and you'll get taken down. Like that character in the movie The Gladiator years ago where they're fighting the Germans at the beginning and the big dude's up there with his big stick and like 10 people have to attack him at once. Okay, 10 people will attack you at once. I figured something like that would happen. And it kind of did in kind of a way. I'm like, okay, but there's nothing, and then the roaring and the fire, I don't know. It just, it didn't feel like they actually gave us anything. The story gave us anything about that. There was no real fear there. We know that he's a bad guy. We've seen him. He's crazy. Okay, but it almost felt vapid, if that makes any sense.
No, I would actually. So you're hitting on a thing that I have an issue with, and I don't. Can you hear me okay? And I'm sorry if my audio was either better or worse now.
Nope, you're good.
I mean, hopefully it's better, because I realized that I was using the wrong microphone. So you just hit on something that this is my biggest sin of season 3. When Moff Gideon appears, I thought when I saw the trailer for the original Mandalorian season 1 that Werner Herzog was going to be the bad guy. Mm-hmm. Because, man, that guy's freaking nuts. Like, I thought that
even when he's not actually being scary, he's still scary.
Legitimately, yeah. Like, he's like, even on his guest spot, he does like a voice work on like Rick and Morty, and it is like one of the funniest speeches ever. But like, even still, like, listen to Paul F. Tompkins do Werner Herzog's review of a hotel on Yelp. He's scary. So I thought Werner Herzog's gonna be the bad guy. Nope. He gets canned, and then this guy, Gus Fring from Breaking Bad, shows up. Giancarlo Esposito, who brings so much talent to this role.
What is that?
And everybody's freaked out about it. Like the Mando, Grief Karga, like everybody is like, oh my gosh, is that Moff Gideon? And the Night of 1,000 Tears, like everything, like everybody's afraid of this guy. Mm-hmm. And how does he appear? I'm in control. He never raises his voice, and that's like an old like film technique, which is like when you got someone who's really scary. What's really scary about someone who's villainous is when they're calm, because what they're projecting is I'm in control of this situation right now. You're in my hand. That dude was terrifying. Season 1. Season 2 up levels it. Scary, has some scary army. Has kidnapped Grogu yet again, and also has the Darksaber. It's elevating. That's what you want to do with a great antagonist and your protagonist. Things keep elevating, right? And so when you see him in that weakened position in the end of season 2, now you know, oh, he's been beaten. And so to reintroduce him as the villain is very much I don't know how it happened, but Palpatine came back, everybody. That's what this felt like.
Yeah.
Because that's what I mean. The biggest sin of season 3 is Moff Gideon doesn't seem scary.
No, he doesn't.
He actually seems like desperate. And it's like, that's only scary for so long, because it's like, and you can't be like, this is my secret plan to beat. No, wait, this is my secret plan to beat you.
Just kidding. I have this other secret plan over here that does things.
I also would have liked more, like, let's level up that personal connection. Jeff, I know I've talked a lot, so I'm going to say this last part really quickly, and I'm very sorry. I have been noticing a lot on Star Wars TikTok and other Star Wars little debates online, is people are like, gosh, you know what's terrible? Is the lightsaber battle between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader in A New Hope. Gosh, is that terrible, because it's not at all acrobatic. It's just, it looks so silly now in comparison to the other lightsaber fights. And it's like, oh, you did not realize what the lightsaber fights were for. The lightsaber fights are to get your protagonist and antagonist really close to each other, so that way they can advance the story. And that's what makes those things great. And so when you have, it's like how they were really able to elevate the lightsaber fights in Obi-Wan, the Obi-Wan series, is because when Vader and now when Vader and old Obi-Wan are fighting, what are they doing? They're talking to each other. They're advancing the story. That's the thing that I feel like got lost here. We almost got like the copy and paste fighting, like a little bit of the like you got to elevate it, like make it more personal. When Luke and Vader are fighting in Jedi, it's not about who's stronger with a lightsaber at that point. It's who's going to out talk whom. And that's why when, Vader gets to Luke, maybe your sister, if you won't turn, maybe she will. That's what was missing, is some greater personal, something bigger. Like, yes, he's evil, he's bad. Yes, they all have a history together, but we got to go up a level. We got to go, we got to make it more personal. Got lost.
Yeah, I agree with you. I really do. I think it comes back to something you said earlier in the stream, which is, and I'm paraphrasing, but essentially they just tried to broker too many different things into this season. And it's not just the Moff Gideon. It's like everything around Moff Gideon. That person that they have implanted, the double agent implanted into the New Republic, that whole thing with the cloner, that guy. Like, I get it. I get why you felt like you needed to explain some of those things about the New Republic, but it was more entertaining to watch than what they did in the Boba Fett season. But it effectively was the same thing. You pulled away from the main storyline and you gave us something nearly entirely different. There was a connection, and it turned out to be Moff Gideon, and cloning was there too, but otherwise we didn't need to see any of that. Like, none of that was useful for this. I get why you're wanting to show us more of, why they want to show more of it. To your point, though, if it doesn't serve to move the story forward and keep your audience engaged in the main story, you probably shouldn't include it in the season. And I think that creates not continuity problems in Star Wars canon and whatnot. Like, I'm not so concerned about that. I don't really care about that.
Yeah, I really don't care about canon. I hate to say that.
I
don't care.
Yeah, that stuff doesn't matter to me so much. what matters is, can a person watch this and feel like they have an emotional connection with these characters and it's moving them along, etc. And there's a reason for everything, every struggle and everything that's happening to them. And those little side quests or side snippets, to me, they distracted more than they aided into the story. Like in Andor, they did it really well when these side pieces happen, because they're all leading up to the same sort of thing, and they all did build into one thing, and there was suspense and there was fear and uncertainty. But in this show, everything felt safe. Everything they did felt safe, that it's going to turn out fine. Very few people really had permanent ramifications, with a handful of exceptions. What was his name? Paz Vizsla, of course, died.
Oh yeah.
But even introducing those were the Praetorian Guard. Oh my God, those characters drive me absolutely bananas. They walk in, they walk on screen, and they've got this like stoic, like overt, I'm a badass character walking on screen with their weapons. I'm like, you've got what seemingly this overpowered villain in Moff Gideon that isn't actually scary this season. I don't really know why he's even there. He's just there. Yeah. Then you add in three more things like this.
I'm like, song right now.
Yeah, and then these three characters show up that are like, wait, you just have these people out there? Why aren't you using them more? We've never seen them. And you can just call them and they just come and take care of us. But then they don't come back. They're just gone. Like, what was the purpose of this? What did any of these things do? I don't understand. Yeah. It was just too much.
No, they would bring people out, and it reminded me almost of like comedy, like bring out the so and so's, and they all get shot. It's like it's bring out these badasses that will get beat, and it's like, oh yeah, they beat like killing off Paz Vizsla is like the equivalent of like, guys, Wicked the Ewok died. And I mean that in that it's bring out the dead. No, totally.
That's exactly that's all I was thinking when you said that. Bring out your dead.
I'm not dead yet. It's you're putting people up that you know your people can beat, and that isn't a good story. That's you're missing all of these pieces.
Yeah.
And I guess that's where it's like it comes back to me with story and tension. I feel like season 1 and 2 of The Mandalorian, wow, what a lot of intention that was there. This one felt like the intention was, guys, we got to set a bunch of stuff up. We got to set up Bo-Katan, something for future Bo-Katan show. We got to set up future Ahsoka show. We got to build out this Mandalorian verse, the Mandoverse. And again, I also think that when you talked about things being safe, there was a lot of discussions on characters that they could part with, and production stepped in. For the first time this season, The Mandalorian felt like an overproduced show. And what I mean by that is it felt like it got a lot of studio notes. Like, hey, we've cast so and so, like we want to bring this in. Can we have Bo-Katan take her helmet off more? Can we have can we make sure that Grogu has a lot of really cute moments? And it's like yeah, he's already a cute character. It's like, let's up that cute ante. Like there were too many times where I felt like, oh, this feels like studio notes, where I never really felt that, especially in season 1. I never felt like studio notes. I felt like they had a tiny budget and they were, it's almost like limitations. What is it? Our great art comes from your limitations, from your borders. And it's like, this felt like the borders were artificial and the limitations were like in the wrong places. It's like, oh yeah, like we'll do this, we'll do that. Like, now you have pirates. Like, put some pirates in there.
What movie? What movie is? Sorry, there's a. I can't remember what movie this is from, but there's a quote from some movie that I can't remember. I'm terrible at remembering where things come from and quoting people's lines. I'm horrible at it. But there's one that's like, they're more like, when you said the borders around constraints is what actually helps you define something. This line is like, they're more like guidelines than rules. Like it to your point, it felt like, and it was, as you were saying this, I was realizing early in season 3, as we got through episodes where we even saw, like the episode where we learned Just in case, everybody. Sorry, hold on.
Oh yeah. Spoilers if you're just joining us. Yeah.
Just in case. Early in season 3, when we got to see finally got to see what happened with Grogu, and who got Ahmed Best comes in as a Jedi and saves Grogu and gets him off, of course. When we see that happen,
great scene. Loved
it was a great
every part of that.
Yeah, it was a great payoff. And what I was realizing as you were describing this is what the season felt like to me is that they were on this arc. They're coming up and they're like, okay, we're getting there, and then oh crud, we're more than 2/3 of the way through the season. How do we go and just throw a bunch of stuff in to get us to complete this season out with notes and all this other stuff? So to Annie's comment, what percent of this is truly just marketing versus truly moving storylines? I actually think, personally, I think it's actually less. I don't think that it's the former of your question, but I will say they injected too many storylines. So they're good storylines. All of them could have been good, but they used all of them. So rather than saying, "Here's our storyboard," and we went to the Miro board and we put a bunch of things up on there in our lightning decision jam. Sorry, there's design thinking speak. We did our LDJ. We put a bunch of stuff up. Great. Which ones are we going to use? I like them all. Let's just, you know what? Here's 5 crews. Go film them. Which ones came back in pickups? We're just going to put all of them in, because we're here. So we're not going to make another one. So, or maybe we will. Who knows? We'll just shove it all in. It's like, no, that wasn't you missed the point of the exercise.
No, it's the Jack Black of it all. And by the way, I love that Peaches song that he sings now. I'm a huge Jack Black fan. I cannot say enough how much I like Jack Black in the Star Wars universe. But it was like what you're saying. It was like, let's have all the ideas. It was like too many things, and great stories are all about shedding things off, cutting things down, really getting again, making very intentional decisions about what it is that you want to tell. And I feel like the Jack Black of it all is exactly that. I liked the characters that Lizzo and Jack played, like Jack Black played. Those were great. They had a lot of fun. You could tell they had a lot of fun on the set. But I feel like someone was to use Jack Black as a symbol for the entire season. Jack Black came on set and he was like, so how big do you want this character? And the director was like, yes. There wasn't any they didn't reel anything in. There was no editing that was done. The art is in the revision. You needed to peel stuff away.
Right.
And that's what I mean by, I actually think that the artifice, and I think Annie's talking about this too, the artifice of a lot of these series is we've got 10 episodes. We got to put 10 episodes together. And it's you know what? Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't have to. Maybe you got 5. There's got to be this breaking point where it's do you have enough story to fill this? And this goes back to my, all of the things I used to talk about Picard with season 1 and 2 of the Picard series. I was like, man, they have enough story for maybe 2 or 3 episodes. And those were other series that didn't have intention. But in this last season, it's so funny how I'm having flip-flop. Last season, when the Picard ended, I think I came on the show, Jeff, just to complain and say, why can't the Picard show be more like the Mandalorian? And this last season of Picard, if you have not watched it, it is life-changing.
I have not watched it yet. I will.
It is so unbelievably good. But because they learned all the lessons. You have to have risk involved. You have to bring in characters and put them in real risk and have them lose. Your characters learn the most from losing. And have them go through that grief and exposure and vulnerability and come out on the other side changed. You can do the story circle where you have your character start and end at the same place. Changed. In this one, I don't think that they actually had given enough time for their characters to change, which is strange given how much time they had. I do want to bring up this thing that Joseph though brought up, that Paz Vizsla went out like Boromir, 100% Boromir style. I love that scene, but what was missing? What makes Boromir's death so powerful, either in the book or in the movie, is I lost the little ones, you know? And then when Aragorn says, no, you've kept your honor, and that they have this moment where they're able to really reflect on the death. We did not get that moment. And unfortunately, I wish we did a little bit, but I would have loved a lot more. So that way, if you're going to focus on his son, you actually can have that story now carry on in a new way.
Yeah.
Like more needed to be there.
Agreed.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't think I could say it any differently or any better than you did. I was entertained, and I'm content with the episode, but I'd still walk away from it. I'm content that, like, if the show ends at this season, I think it is. I don't really know. I'm pretty sure the show is ending at this point. I hope that they don't try to continue it, because the ending of the show with Din and Grogu, good. That's an ending. Just leave it alone.
Yeah.
And I do worry that someone might say, "Bring it back," you know. Was it the Family Guy Star Wars, where the Bith band in Tatooine is like, finish the song, "What do y'all want to hear? Same song again. All right, one more time." I could see that happening, and unfortunately, I really hope it doesn't, because this just needs. It's just cool. You're done. You're done.
Yeah.
Some mistakes were made. Some missteps happened. You know what? It's all good. We can just put this to bed. We can move on to Ahsoka, and then the Acolyte, and these other things that are coming out, and it'll be fantastic. We'll have a good time.
Super excited about the Acolyte. Super excited. Just what you're saying. Like, I think let the story end. I know that it's funny, because I see this a note here from TJ on Drop It Like It's Hot about how they are setting up an Endgame type of movie. Like, I have heard that they're looking at how they do some type of movie. What I'm big on, and this is even like with the Picard season 3. Tell a story that you have. Don't like, as long as we don't make this just for the Disney money making machine that they have in the background, where it's like, just keep that money coming. We're just what is that? What is that sound? It's angels printing money. If there's a story, then yes. But Disney's then going to have to do something that they really struggle with, which is they're going to have to let some characters go. It's a Jedi-like thing. They're too attached to some of these characters. They need to actually let some of them go. I try to always wrap it up like that in the end.
Yeah, it's I will say, I've thoroughly enjoyed The Mandalorian as a show, and I'm really glad that we have it. Yeah. Boba Fett could go away, but you know, that's just my hot take. That's fine. Nobody else needs to agree with me in any way, shape, or form. It's totally fine. I am thoroughly looking forward to Ahsoka. Like, cannot measure how much I'm looking forward to Ahsoka, and I'm as excited about the Acolyte. The more and more I learned, and the more and more I heard from Star Wars Celebration, the Acolyte, which will take place, that comes out next year, and that will take place near the end, so to speak, of the High Republic era. In live action, we actually have confirmation that a character from the High Republic books is how they have. She has set photos. She has been cast and she's in it. One of the characters has been in both. I think mostly in the kids' books, or not this one. Where is it? Which book is it? Yeah, the character that's this is Mission to Disaster, and now it's not focusing. There it is. That character right there, Vernesta Rowe. She's in it, but everything I've heard from Amandla, I forget her last name. All the actors, all the stars, the director, is that the Acolyte, as an example, is going to be intense. It's going to be borderline scary, like as much as you can out of a Star Wars show. But like, it sounds like it's going to be along the lines of like Andor, the type of intensity we felt in Andor. I think that's what we're going to see out of the show, like the Acolyte. And I'm really happy for this, because there is a place to have, you know, more intense stories that can still be geared toward a younger audience. Yep. But as they've been doing in the High Republic books and other places, Star Wars needs to also have a darker side. Because it can't just be if it's going to succeed for a wide audience for a long time as a franchise and a storytelling machine, it can't just be for kids. You know, George Lucas always said these movies were made for kids. And those kids, as the new movies come out, that's for a different set of kids. You are not the kids anymore. It's not made for you. I respect that. I totally respect. I still respect that. I will say, though, however, if you want these stories to resonate with a wide audience and live with them, you can't just target the current generation of kids as your primary audience for it. If you want it to expand to a lot more people, the way that you do that is you give various audiences in different ways content that's going to resonate with them in the way that they are looking for. So things like The Acolyte or Ahsoka, you know, kids can still watch them, but they're going to be geared towards an older audience with more intense storylines and more nuanced things. And I like, sorry, Andy's comment that just came through completely threw me off.
Hey, if I could just add to that. If I could,
I saw that, I'm like,
what you
dang
just
it,
said
now
about-
I just lost my train of thought.
Like, I know that line about, hey, I make these movies for kids came after the whole Jar Jar stuff, but I would say this. Back in the day, like, even Star Wars and Empire and all those things, Empire used to scare the crap out of me when I was a kid. And what I mean by that is our definition of what we think kids are ready for in stories has changed. I'd actually like it to go, like, a Hallmark movie that I love, and I don't mean it's a Hallmark movie.
It feels like almost a contradiction to say that out loud.
Yeah, exactly. A movie that is a hallmark of my generation is
Oh,
The
there we
Never-Ending
go. Got it.
Story.
Oh,
The
dude.
Never-Ending Story.
Scared the crap out of me when I was a kid.
Exactly. It's
Oh
a
my God,
story
yes.
about the nothing overtaking an entire civilization, and it's assisted by this like terrible darkness and all of these things. And then in the end, the risk there is, you know, all the things that you lose. These are amazing stories that we had when we were growing up. And I'm not saying that that's necessarily better or worse, but what I am saying is kids can deal with complex storylines, especially when their parents are there to give them guidance. And I think that Star Wars and Andor is proof of this, can tell complex, at times political storylines that actually resonate and make a really big difference. Is Andor for kids? I don't think so. But I do think that a lot of Star Wars, like Empire even, going back to Empire Strikes Back, it can tell a complex storyline that
agreed.
can really connect and teach lessons to kids.
Totally agree.
And again, those are the things that hit home. That's why we care about these stories in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Take the risk and tell a strong story.
Completely agree. And we are at time. I can't believe that was an hour.
Yes, we are.
Or
I
close
know,
to
it
an
moved
hour.
really fast.
With some technical difficulties in the beginning. That's all good. It's probably mostly my fault.
Yes.
No,
This
is
I
good.
had a whole big setup issue.
No, it's all good. I'm glad we got to dig into the finale of The Mandalorian this way, because there's just so much there to talk about. Good, bad, or indifferent. And it's, especially coming off the first two seasons, there was such a difference between how even I would say just really the second half of of season 3, because the first half of season 3, to me at least, felt like they were setting up really nicely. Like, okay, you're getting to a strong conclusion. I'm excited, and it felt like it tapered off. So I'm really glad that we got to talk it through. Everyone else everyone who's been here live, thank you so much for being here, Joseph, Annie, TJ, everybody. Thank you for jumping in. It's really cool to have everyone chatting with us and being part of the conversation, because that's what makes this fun.
Yes.
And anyone on Team Replay, thanks for watching later on. We really appreciate it. We'll be back next week with, I'm sure, more stuff. I mean, there's been so much came out of Celebration that we've got to dive into it.
Talk about the video game, man. Got to talk about.
Survivor. That's coming out next week. Yeah, I posted a video yesterday. I got an email from Microsoft saying it looked like an advertising email, and I opened it up, and it was the email saying I had pre-ordered Jedi Survivor like months ago, and I got an email saying your order of Jedi Survivor is almost here. I'm like, oh, wait, what? Oh my God, that's next week. I was like, yesterday, I think I was like a little kid in a candy store. I was like, super excited. I'm like, I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna take PTO the week after. You're not gonna see me for a while. I just got to go dive into this game for a bit.
See, and now you got to make a poncho, Jeff, for your.
Dude, I'm okay.
You got to make a poncho.
I am nearly done with. Or done-ish with my High Republic Jedi cosplay. I'm trying to get it ready right now for May the 4th, or that weekend, because Free Comic Book Day is May the 6th. And I told myself, and I told the owner of the local comic shop that I go to, I'm like, I'm going to dress up, and I'll come down. There's a bunch of people who usually dress up and hang out with the kids and stuff like that to take pictures, so people can take pictures and make it like a whole thing in Comic Book Day. I'm like, I'm going to do this. I'm really nervous. I'm very self-conscious about it, but I'm going to do it. And I'm like, well, if I'm going to finish that, then I got to work on maybe Cal Kestis next. I'm going to have to start doing wigs because this isn't going to work.
Oh no, man! It's like I don't know of any Star Wars characters. Well, I guess there is now just one that wears glasses. So I got a lot of work to do.
Oh, you know what? I could pull off tech. I could pull off tech. I could totally do it. I could hyper focus and overthink things. I've got this nailed. I can do it.
Oh yeah, but see, I've got to figure out what I'm going to do with these. So I'm going to be working on my my Andor my whole Andor look for when we go to our convention in the fall.
Yes.
I'm going to be all set. So I'm looking for my nice. Yeah, my big blue winter jacket. It's going to be awesome. It's gonna be great.
I mean, we all need ponchos. We need more ponchos in our life. I think that's a thing.
We need more ponchos out there. Cal Kestis. Anyway, well, hey, it's been great. Thank you, everybody that's been able to stick around with us, and looking forward to seeing you all next week.
Yep. See you all next week.
Hey, bye, everybody.